The scene is set in Madison Square Park, sitting on the rusted iron benches, surrounded in the refuse and litter of this modern day kind, sits James Pierce, legs folded neatly under hands. The only light, apart from the dismal flickering of the street lamps, is the warm blue glow of his phone. He scrolls through his emails, opening up the attachments, trawling through the information given, feeding on every word and syllable, every number and statistic. He drains the device of all useful information until it is nothing more than numbers and data. His emails have been received, and rather helpful brochures, statistics of the Busy Bee Cleaning Company have been sent to him to try and promote his business. He taps in a reply email wanting more details, innocuous details about the products used, specifically if they could handle deep-set stains for one of the medical profession, things like feces, urine, and blood. One cannot be too careful, and when dealing with the unfortunate, accidents happen. And trying to scrub the stench of death of linens is a job not to be taken lightly. He clicks his send as he hears the tinkle of laughter as a group of four kind walk past him, dressed in suits, shoes, and fine, silky summer dresses, off to some night spot to socialize with their various friends. He feels the fake laughter wash over him, the fake smiles behind fake eyes, fake conversations, all superficial. None of them can see beyond their own lies, and it saddens him. The kind tell so many lies out of fear of loneliness, fear of not being accepted, fear of isolation. A pang of sympathy washes over him, for he too was like that once. Well, weren't we all, before we could see beyond the lies. The greatest lies we can tell ourselves are that we are doing it, lying to ourselves because we have to, that no one will accept us. This modern era promotes people to conform. Individuality is stuffed out, probably for the best, James thinks. Unity is strength. But then again, lies do nothing but hurt. As they walk past without even a second glance at James, a nondescript gentleman in a nondescript suit, he lifts his head up into the night sky, breathing in the sweet, warm summer air. Look at this city. A sinkhole, York said. A death trap, said Benjamin. A cesspool of lies, thought Pierce. He could see them seeping into the cobblestones, the very trees of the park, even the buildings themselves. Atrophy, decay. He sighs. Every lie takes its toll, and a city built on it, well, it makes sense that it's rotting from within. Well, taking an unneeded breath, he stands and walks a long jaunt, taking in the sights around the streets, heading towards Broadway, the bright lights and the flashing neon, a welcome distraction He shields his eyes from his vampiric perception. Too much sensation at once might cause him to panic. Kind pushing against each other, even this early in the evening. Well, he's glad he had a steady supply of food, and rarely needs to exert himself nowadays. He squeezes his way past the throng, looking at his phone for directions on Google Maps towards his target, until he sees it. A tall building on a crosswalk of Broadway, just down one of the side streets. A historical building, or so so his phone tells him, now harboring the company devoted to keeping this filthy city clean, tidying up after the liars, cleaning away after the things people would rather forget, the dirty little secrets. He sits. There is a cafe nearby, and he pops in. Does some cursory hellos to the people on staff, asks them very politely if they mind him using their socket to charge his phone. He orders a coffee diligently, paying over a few crumpled dollars to the waitress rather. And he sits by the window, the dirt's main window overlooking the building itself, and gathering the shrouds around him becomes unnoticeable. One blink, two blinks, and no one knows he's there. He sits like a statue staring at the building across the walk, a small notebook and pen in his hand, and he ticks off the amount of traffic that goes by, the people that go through the door. He spends a good few hours there looking, counting the windows, how many lights are on, making detailed notes on every transaction. Mailman, 5 minutes, cursory hello, leaves, lack of input. Van pulls up to the side, housing 2 men. 15 minutes. Men exit parking garage, heading into reception. 45 minutes. Leave out of back door. He spends a good while in this coffee shop unnoticed. The coffee starting to create a thick film and skin, becoming cold as death itself. Once James feels that most of the information garnered from the front door is had, he realizes that most of the information he'll glean is either inside or round the back of the building, where the service trucks come through, where the staff hang out. And so, picking himself up, he walks across the street, past the oncoming traffic, into the reception itself. He takes a while standing, unmoving, in the brightly lit reception area, surveying the situation, the brightly coloured decor, cleaned to a polish, except for a small snag round where the desk meets the floor, the skirting board slightly scuffed, the lampshade not dusted in a while. He tuts under his breath. Excuse me, miss, he says with his most winning, pearly white smile. The receptionist herself, a young woman, with dark rings around the eyes, fashionable, blonde-dyed hair, and a professional, yet brightly coloured dress, with one of those new receiver headphones in her ear, earrings too large, dangling awkwardly over her ears, making her jangle every time she looks up from her desk. The fake smile appears wide, the eyes glaze over as she repeats the line that she has been drilled into saying. Wow, welcome to Busy Bee Cleaning Company. How can I help you, sir? He smiles back, another fake smile, broad and slightly unnerving. There was something that irked him about this woman, something that needed fixing. In his profession, he can always tell when people were hiding from themselves, and his vampiric condition only exacerbated that natural gift. Rolling perception and empathy with a specialty. 5 successes. Just from that look, he realized unwittingly the woman's history. Came to the big city under lights and sounds, possibly under the direction of a male influence. She was full of so much pep and enthusiasm, now ground down to the adamant husk of reality. New York was not her saving grace, but in fact her prison. Looking deeper, we can see by the weight of her hands and the fact that one of her nails is deeply chewed. The woman was a smoker, a slight tobacco stain upon her index finger, and the slightest imperfection in her smile, a slight yellowing. James winced at the imperfections. Why, yes, I hope you can help me, my dear. I am taking out his ID. My name is James Pierce. I'm here under the representation of Fair Meadows Mental Institute. I have been emailing Jack a couple of email responses and just wanted to have a look around. The woman's posture becomes guarded. Her shoulders hunch and her eyes look to the safety of a computer screen. Oh, I'm afraid no one's in at the moment. They've all gone home for the night. Perhaps I can arrange for you a tour in the morning. James takes a different track. Using his charisma and empathy, he tries to connect with the woman, getting her to talk, to open up, to relax around him. The predatory gaze of his undead nature sets people most off slightly. He is not like a powerful toreador or a dominating Ventru who can simply bully his way across kind. He has to be subtle. And so using his charisma and empathy. Ho, 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 ho. I do like it when the dice like me. Wow, that is a most delightful set of earrings. If I'm not mistaken, they are a Holden Geyser down by Fairbrook Avenue. Why, yes, she says, her eyes sparkling at the sudden interest. James smiles internally. She cares about fashion. She likes to be noticed. Perhaps she wants to be a model or actress or something in the limelight, but has been stuck behind this facade of a simple welcomer. He begins talking to her about innocuous things, mostly listening. James had an immense talent for listening, saying the right word to make them open up, to make them begin spilling out their life story. Because despite what people feel that they are guarded and somehow in control of their own lives, sometimes all they truly want is to talk about them. James was a perfect sounding board. 20 minutes, he sits there. Yes, yeah, of course. How did that make you feel? She speaks about the hardships of trying to afford college, of trying to make herself in this world. How no one really understands her. He reaches out and places the light, delicate fingertips on the knuckles of hers, not in a flirtatious way, but one of understanding. He begins to understand. He knows her buttons now, so he plays on them. Well, my dear, I'm afraid that would be wonderful, except, well, I was in the area and it saved me doing 2 trips, you understand. I only, Fairmeadows is out by the suburbs, and that's a good hour's drive in traffic. He pulls on the charm again, this time with manipulation and subterfuge, not his greatest attribute. But buttering her up obviously has warmed her to him, and she understands his plight. Empathy, he smirks, goes both ways. Well, it's very unorthodox. I won't be able to show you any of the offices or any of the big holding wares due to the fact that they're shut for the night. Oh, that's no problem at all. I just want to have a look at your operation here. Get to know what sort of people that employ you. She smiles, presses the intercom, gets up, and begins talking on the phone. James takes a seat in the reception area, patiently looking at the decor. Wow, this is a lovely place, he says, his eyes automatically darting towards the imperfections of the room. That will have to change. Soon a buzz, one of those metallic door-whizzing buzzes, and another woman comes in, older, with a ill-fitting suit. Mary, the receptionist asks, would you mind watching the desk for a moment while I show a customer around? She eyes James suspiciously. He beams at her with his best winning smile. She nods slowly. The two shuffle around in the delicate dance of a very small desk, and she begins to show him around. They walk across the empty, dimly lit corridors as she shows him the various rooms. James, politely listening to the tour, hearing about the machines, the order capacity, the amount of staff that they have. His eyes are open. He begins to use his perception and alertness to see what he notices. Only 2 successes. Nothing innocuous, but he certainly gets a layout of the building. There are many stairs, 1 working elevator, and 1 service elevator. A couple of rooms with warning labels saying they hold dangerous chemicals, and the occasional employee going to and fro. James makes a note of their faces. So what sort of customers do you usually employ here? Oh, all kinds, the receptionist says, happily. We're equipped to do janitorial work, many big companies where we send out our small vans. We also clean for all kinds of government buildings, hospitals, care centres, old people's homes, even the occasional hotel. James nods, smiles. This will do. This will do for his purposes. Now, my dear, now, I'm sure you're aware that when you're dealing with the unfortunate, sometimes we have quite a lot of cleaning to be done. Accidents happen, he says with a sad look, one that belates hardship. I would absolutely love to see what industrial devices you have to handle the wear and tear of the everyday troubles of the medical profession. She closes up again. I'm not supposed to go back there. I'm afraid that's authorized personnel only. Oh, come on, James says, with a smile. I won't tell. Besides, we're just having a look. He tries his manipulation again. Manipulation, empathy? Or leadership, probably, because he's trying to lead us somewhere. It isn't a great stat for him, but let's give it a go. Well, it won't hurt, she says. And the two of them head down. There's a staff-only door. She opens the door, raising it slowly, into a small service room filled with lockers, mostly empty, a couple of coats on the rack. Going down the stairs, the metallic clunk of footsteps into what appears to be the main workstation of the area. She opens the door to reveal a large working place with the sound and the rhythmic humming of machines, of laundromats churning, of various brushes, hoses, and chemicals whooshing in the various machines, cleaning linens and plastics, and even cutlery. James notes that as an oddity. But he does notice, well, I should roll, in all honesty, to see if he notices. That's only fair. He won't use all specs. There's little point in this innocuous setting. He takes a note of the chemicals used. D2, D10, usual cleaning chemicals. He takes note of the various machines, the floor buffers and waxers, the vacuum cleaners, the dusters, and other such technological marvels used for the sparkling of any good business. He also notices more hazardous chemicals, the bleach, the ammonia, the things that get out those most stubborn stains, and he makes note in his mind of the quantity that they carry. A good portion. They seem to have some big customers to be able to house such chemicals in such vast quantities. James diligently takes the tour, listening to the inane babble of the receptionist as they sneak round. The occasional odd look from some of the staff, nothing to deter them. James's warm smile disarms most. He's very approachable, going up, shaking hands, speaking to those who are used to being ignored. Let's see if he can get some of the staff to talk to him. It'll make this a more difficult roll. I'm going to roll Charisma Empathy. We'll say difficulty 7 due to the lack of language. 1 success. He gets courteous responses, small. How long they've worked here, do they enjoy it? Whereabouts, do they have any family? Small, innocuous things, nothing useful to James, but a good stepping stone, at least to be recognized by some of the staff. Despite his pushing, most of them want to be left alone. They want to go home to their families. They want to pay in their paycheck and ignore the today happened. Seeing the hesitation on the receptionist's face, he realized that he's now pushing his luck. He thanks her politely, shaking her hand, and is happily led back to the reception area. Realizing that he might need an ally if his pursuit of this particular endeavor comes into place, he starts to speak to the receptionist one last time before leaving. I'm trying to think. Let's see if he can just do another charisma empathy as he's trying to be her friend. curses. She's polite. She's certainly engaging, and through that earlier talk, she's not throwing him out. But it seems that she's overstepped her bounds, and she is now wanting to be rid of this and go back to the desk where she can daydream for the rest of her shift, and is not interested in any more engagements. However, the first step, perhaps, James promises to bring them a delightful treat to her and her staff when he's next in town, and recommends Granny's tea room. The woman politely nods and says she might try it out. James leaves the exit door, smiles and waves. And so, information got. He begins to make a circuit of the building itself, looking at all the exits, the fire exits, the place the vehicles go in, the cordon-off areas, and how secure the building is. He's going to roll a perception investigation. There's a specialty in this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Should have used all specs. 4 successes. He notices where the vehicles come in. Doesn't seem to be exceedingly well guarded. I mean, who would break into a cleaning company? There's a few fire exits, a metal ladder going up to the taller floors of the building. And so smiling, he nods. Good work, he tells himself. Now, since he's in the city, he should probably get on to other business. His hands itch. His mind flitters back to the imperfections of the room, to the filth of the cleaning company. He grinds his teeth and starts heading towards the nearest bar, somewhere with a restroom. He needs to clean these lies off of himself and see.